Now you might think, hey Joe, that's fine with small little patches, but what about this big huge patch? You got one small little sponge. How are you going to do that? Well, very simple. I'm going to go around the outside edge. And I don't have to do any on the inside unless I see any one little particular area, whatever, because you remember, if you've been watching, I put a tight skim over this, and I've got this nice and smooth. And I don't have to do any more to this except around the edges. And I don't have to sand it. I don't have to put a sponge on it. When I put the skip trowel on, it's going to go right over that just fine. Fine and dandy, Andy. It's not going to take very long for this to dry. By the time I mix up my mud and do a couple other little things, I'll be all ready to start putting this mud up here. Well, there's a line right there, and boom, I got it. It's gone. So try washing your patches in next time. When somebody says, hey, did you wash your patch in? You'll know exactly what they're talking about, won't you? That's right. I did a really good job with this, and I'm looking at it, and even though it looked really good, I still like to just kind of do a once over as your eye kind of follows around at certain areas. You might think, oh, I would have missed that had the light not been on there, had I not looked on it all the way. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. I think I'm ready. So that didn't take very long. One silly little sponge like this, it was all I had. I could have used, had I had a better tile sponge, I could have used that, but hey, anything will do. Now what happens if you don't have a sponge? If you've got like a washcloth or a rag, wet rag, you know, you can basically do the same thing with that. All right, wash those patches in. Do it right. I figured I'd show you this. I've been using this box of mud. This is my all-purpose joint compound, and I bought it in a cardboard box. It's a little bit easier to transport around. It's not as heavy as one of those 5-gallon container tubs, you know what I mean? You don't necessarily have to throw this away when you get done with it. I've got a couple tricks for you. When you first put it down, you just want to roll it over the sides like that and pull it down tight. Okay? And there's hardly any flakes in here. If you've been watching some of my other videos, sometimes I show you what to do to get those flakes out of there, or that I've always told you that this plastic, when all this outside bits of sheetrock mud dry, and you roll and you push this plastic back in there, you get all these dry flakes back in here. Then next time you pull it out, all the dry flakes go in here, and you got to kind of scrape it out from here. Okay? But I got a different approach to that. You got to stick around and watch the rest of the video, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But for the time being, I'm just going to scoop in here, and I use my 3-inch knife. A little bit easier to dig in there rather than my 6-inch. And I don't have to fill my pan up very far. I can have just that much in there. See if you're seeing that. There you go. And I'm going to use this mud right here for my skip troweling. Okay? And it's too thick right now for it. See how much easier it is to use a 3-inch knife in here. I could use a 6, but it's harder to do my squiggly lines in there. Got a little bottle of water. I can just pour a little bit in. Make sure you put the cap on each time. And the reason why I know that, I don't think I have to explain that one to you, do I? I've dropped it a couple times before, and then it gets all over the place. I'm going to mix this up almost like cake batter, and maybe just a hair runnier than that. Because I'm going to, when I put it on the ceiling or walls, depending where your patch is and if it's a skip trowel or not. A skip trowel means it's been put on by hand, not with a machine. I want it kind of runny because when I put it on with my putty knife, with my sheetrock broad knife here, I put on a little bit like that, and then as I pull it on, it kind of takes a light touch and you kind of skip it on the wall. It goes, and that's why they call it skip trowel. See? Okay, so I want to get all this mixed up. And it could be a little trial and error when you first get going on it as to how much water you put on, what thickness you're going to put it on. You've got to kind of match your existing conditions. You're kind of like an artist. Whatever it takes for you to do it, that's what you've got to do. Okay? You know what? I think I'm still going to put a little bit more water in there. Keep mixing it away. Going to be a little soupy, but not so runny that it's going to be hard to put on and stay on, you know? Kind of like a runny cake batter, you know? If it's hard to do, get the whole thing, you can flip that around and then work from the other side too. And that's why you've got to always have a clean sheetrock pan. You don't want to get any crusties in there. Some dry bits from the last go around. Okay, that's good. Let's put that up on the ceiling, see what we got.